Hello team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prab, and today we're going to discuss some coffee shots of CISM Domain 4. Thanks for the amazing response you have shared on Domain 1 to Domain 3 videos, which motivate me to make more videos on the CISM topic, and that's why I'm here with the Domain 4 coffee shots, which is divided into two parts. So in the first part, we're going to discuss about 18-19 questions, which give a high level coverage about the domain 4. And I'm sure after completion of this coffee short series of domain 4, you will be in the position to handle domain 4 easily. Domain 4 is very, very important and testable in the exam. Make sure you should prepare this domain 4 well. My name is Prab Nair. For more information, you can check my LinkedIn profile. So without wasting a time, let's start with the first part. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with the first question. What is the primary purpose of the incident management process in the organization? See, we have two important process. One is called as the incident management and one is called as a problem management. Problem management is basically part of the incident management, where the incident management ultimate goal is to reduce the impact, where the problem management ultimate goal is to track the root cause. Example, if system is infected with a virus, we need to make sure we have a limited impact. That is the role of an incident management. And problem management basically identify the reason behind how the virus basically targeted a system. Both are basically part of a reactive controls, or you can say countermeasures. So here the question talking about primary purpose. Whenever the word primary is there, it means we have to select that option which is a first outcome. Example, when I say I'm preparing for CISM. Okay, because I want to learn the concept or I want to clear the exam. Ultimate goal or primary goal is to clear the exam, right? Same like here. So what is the primary purpose? The question is what? Incident management process. Option A, identify and respond incidents and controlling impact within acceptable level. Makes sense. Identify root cause of the incident, but that is basically not a primary goal. It is a goal, but not a primary goal. Minimize the possibility of occurrence and lessen impact. That is also true. First responder to adverse event led to the information security. That is the first step, but the question is not talking about first step. Minimize the impact, that is true, but how? So C is basically part of the A. That's why the answer is basically A for alpha, because the primary purpose of incident management is to reduce the impact. How? By identifying the root cause. If you see the option here, identify the root cause. Okay, minimize the possibility of event. So B and C is basically part of the A. So whenever in the exam you confuse it in two options, select one option which can cover other options. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Okay, so in the incident management process, scope is which of the following? It means out of following. Determine the priority of the resource protection response activity. Three keywords are there. Determines. Second is priority, because it is not possible for us to give attention to all the assets. Is it clear? So option A, risk management. See, risk management is a process of identifying the impact. Okay, no doubt. Risk management is basically help me to identify what we need to protect and what we need to ignore, but it doesn't help me to prioritize. The question saying the priority of the resource. Okay. Second is problem management. Problem management track the root cause. Change management is basically come into the picture once we implementing a resource, but we are in a stage of determine. It means present tense. So answer is basically BIA. Even if you want to do the risk management of all the process, it's not possible in one go. So we do first BIA only. So whenever in the question talking about priority, criticality, prioritizations, the answer is basically BIA, because BIA help me to prioritize what need to be recovered first and what need to be recovered later. That is why the answer is C for Charlie. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. It's a very good question. Most, there will be possibility in the exam, you will get a question on incident management process. Okay. So based on that only, I prepared this question. So at which stage of the incident response plan, we establish the policy, develop the criteria and process to activate the IMT. See, identification is basically a stage where we identify the incident. Okay. Preparation is basically a stage where we build the governance. Containment is a stage once we receive a report about the virus and all that, isolate a system. But the question is talking about establishing a policy. See, whenever we trying to build any system in the organization, whether it is an incident management system, whether it's a change management system, we have a patch management system, or we have a other system. So before building a system, we need to introduce the policy for that. So first we need a strategy. Then based on that, we basically introduce first policy, and then we basically introduce the program, and then we implement. So strategy is basically strategic in nature. Policy is something which is strategic in nature. Program is something which is tactical in nature. And then we have an implementation. So any kind of a system you want to introduce, the first thing we need a policy, because policy is a foundation for any governance after building a strategy. So in this case, the question document develop the policy. That's why the close option is basically called as a B, preparation stage. Is it clear? That's why the answer is B. So enough for some coffee. Let's have some snacks. Yeah, snacks, which is very important with coffee shots. Let's discuss about high level incident response process, which give you the idea. And that is a pointer you need to remember from the exam point of view. Okay. So if you can see here, you need to remember this pointer. So the first step is basically called as a preparation, where we establish the policy, we establish the communication plan and develop the process. Second step is called as a identification, where we verify if incident has happened. Example, any user basically reported an incident. It is not necessary that every incident what is reported, it is a true incident. We need to confirm that. And it is not possible every incident on the same time we can able to report. Example, we have a user 1, we have a user 2, and we have a user 3. All three basically reported an incident to the incident management team after learning from a security awareness, but it is not possible with a limited resource. We can able to give attention to all the incident on the same time. First we confirm and then we prioritize which incident we need to give attention first. So that's something we done in the identification phase only. So where we determine whether incident is true, we determine the severity of the incident, and we establish the chain of custody. If these keywords are there, answer is identification. Then we decided, okay, we will going to respond to this particular incident. So we have isolate a system immediately from the network because system was infected with the virus. We have this concern that, okay, that infected virus can, or infected system virus can spread the virus across the other system. So the best temporary action we can take is containment, where we activate the IMT to contain the incident and notify the appropriate stakeholder about this issue. Definitely, if you're isolating a system, it impacts the business. So you need to take this responsibility to notify the business owner about this issue. Now, once you isolate a system from the network, remove the virus from the system, that is called eradication. So if you get a question in which particular stage, we remove the root cause and determine the root cause. So that is basically called as a eradication. Once you basically remove the virus, then you decided to restore the new operating system in that. That is basically called as a recovery. Containment is called as a temporary. Eradication is called as a temporary, but recovery is basically called as a permanent solution. Like reinstalling a new window, remove the virus, that is part of a recovery. And then finally we have a lesson learned. Lesson learned basically mean what is a lesson we have learned from this entire process. When we handle a particular incident, what is a lesson we have learned? What is a mistake we did? So we can able to correct that. So these pointers you need to know from exam point of view. Let's learn some questions. Let's understand the questions based on this snack. Okay. So we have some coffee. I'm assuming you understood the snacks. So at which stage of incident response management, verifying the report or event qualify as an incident, establishing a chain of custody during a identification when handling the potential evidence. So option A, identification, option B, preparation, option C, containment, option D, eradication. So if I go back to the snacks, it's a chain of custody, severity, verify is coming in the identification. Okay, and that is same thing, establishing a chain of custody, qualify as an incident. You can say verify if incident has been happened, because first step always, whenever we receive a ticket, the first thing is confirm the incident, then we isolate. So in this case, answer is basically A for alpha. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Very good question. At which stage limit the exposure, notifying appropriate stakeholder which is affected by the incident. So if I go back to the snacks part, let's see in which particular stage we basically notify. And so notifying appropriate stakeholder and activate the IMT is happening on the containment stage. So if I go back and see the question, identification where we build the policy. Sorry, preparation is a phase where we build the policy. Identification is basically a phase where we confirm the incident. But containment is the one we isolate a system and notifying the party. According to GDPR, data breach need to be reported in 72 hours. That is done in the containment stage only. So that's why the answer is C for Charlie. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Okay. After confirming and isolating a system, Peter has decided to restore the system back to production. He decided, okay, not done, decided. He restored backups to achieve the clean system, remove the root cause, improve defense, and perform vulnerability analysis to find the further potential damage from the exact root cause. So at which stage do this activity need to be performed? So identification, where we confirm; preparation, we build the policy; containment is isolating. The question is already, they said that they already done all these things, and now they're doing a vulnerability analysis, restoring clean systems and all that, which is initiative part. And that is why we basically going with the answer is eradication, because in this particular stage we identify the root cause, we remove the root cause, we prepare the system for clean installation. So during a recovery we perform the clean installation. Three keywords because of which I went with the eradication is: one is basically improve the defense, second keyword is perform the vulnerability analysis, and third keyword is basically root cause. That's why the answer is 4 for, or D for alpha. Sorry, D for delta. Let's move to the next question. Thank you. So question is, Peter basically ensure that affected system or service are restored. It is basically called as a past tense, to a condition specified in SDO. SDO defined in the SLA, it means the service has been restored defined as per the MTD. He facilitates system owner to declare regular operation when validate the action taken to restore system were successful. Everything is in past. So at which stage of an incident response following activity need to be performed? Definitely during identification we confirm, preparation is a governance, eradication we go for root cause, and after that only we restore the system back to the production. And that is something we do in the recovery stage, because recovery is a stage where we do the restore the system back to the production, and you have to make sure within a defined SLA we achieve our defined objectives. That's why the answer is C for Charlie. So if I go back to the snacks part so you get a better visibility, we first prepare the policy, establish the incident management system, that is part of a preparation, confirming the incident, that is the second thing, and establish the chain of custody and prioritizing. Then we basically removing a system from the network, a temporary activity, and notifying the stakeholder. Then finding a root cause, how this happened, remove the root cause, and then after clean installation, restore system back to the production according to SLA. And then what is the lesson we have learned from the overall process, what are the gap we have identified, and according to that improve the plan. That is part of the lesson learned. Okay, so this is basically all this in part. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Okay, sometime what happened in the exam, you might get a paragraph based question. So with that aspect, I tried my best to bring that kind of a level of question in this particular video, but it is not something identical to your you can say real exam. So gap analysis provides information on the gap between current incident and response capability and the desired level. So by comparing the two levels, improvement in the capability, skill, and technology can be identified. So what is the primary outcome we achieve from this activity? Option A, processes that need to be improved to be more effective and efficient. Makes sense. Second is risk can be eliminated. That is not possible. You can use gap assessment to identify the gap, but it's not something help you to reduce the risk to zero. Option C, prioritize should be based on the area of greatest potential impact and best cost benefit. That is also true. And D is useful in determining the most effective strategy to achieve the objectives and prioritize the effort. So if you see the option, you confuse between A and D. See, processes that need to be improved, be more efficient and effective, makes sense. But how? When we're doing a gap assessment example, you're preparing for CISM. So domain 1, you got 60, domain 2, you got 70. So your desired result, you want 90, you're getting 70. So current you're 60 or 70 and desire is basically 90. So you have to see what activity you have to do to prioritize so that you can able to achieve, instead of just having a process to improve. Even you go for process improvement, how are you going to improve the process? Okay, for that we need to set the objectives. So that is why A cover in the D. Useful in determining the most effective strategy to achieve the objective and prioritize the effort. Now, as I said, you continuously getting wrong in the risk management and incident management. So you understood first I will learn risk management and then I will learn incident management. So this is how you prioritize to achieve a desired state. That's why the answer is D for delta. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Okay, what is the primary purpose of BIA? Now, what is BIA? BIA stands for Business Impact Analysis. It is one of the most important element of BCP, because BIA helped me to prioritize what recovery strategy we required, what processes are critical, and how to prioritize that. So option A helps stakeholder understand what impact an incident could have on the business. Option B, essential to understand the structure and culture of the organization. Option C, identify the resources that are most important to an organization. And option D, optimize the recovery priorities based on a system dependency. So we have 4 options here. If you see the option B, I'm directly removing B because it's only talk about the culture. Identify the resources that are most important to the organization. Definitely it is a requirement, but that is the only requirement, which is not true. Option D, optimize recovery priority based on a system dependency. Definitely that is a input, but outcome to convey this recovery priorities come from the management. So D is basically part of the A, because with the help of BIA, we can able to prioritize what is important and what is not, and that we have to convey to the business. Okay, just having a recovery priority will not give you visibility until unless you don't convey to the management, because management want what process we need to restore first, because we have a limited budget. So that is why D is basically part of the A. It helps the stakeholder to understand what impact an incident could have on the business. Okay, and based on that, we optimize the recovery priorities based on a system dependency, because BIA helped me to prioritize what need to be recovered and how quickly. Based on that, we create a matrix and prepare the recovery strategy. That's why the answer is A for alpha. Let's move to the next question. Thank you. So in following type of tests, team member physically implement the plan on papers, review each steps to assess its effectiveness, and identify enhancement, constraint, and deficiencies. Option 1, checklist review. Option B, structure walkthrough. Option C, simulation test, and option D, parallel test. So let's decode this question. So before we going to answer this, let me tell you the sequence. See, first type of, so why we basically test the plan, you need to understand. Okay, so when you're talking about test is basically all about checking whether it is pass or it is failed. Okay, so if I say I have a BCP plan, or if I have a DR plan, or I have an incident management plan, according to incident management procedure, any ticket we receive, we need to close in 2 days. And we have a procedure for that. By following the procedure, you can able to close in 2 days. So I was the one who created a procedure. Now I left. So in my absence, someone can blindly follow the procedure and restore the incident in 2 days. Or in the case of disaster, whom we need to call, what we need to move first, that is captured in the DR. But in my absence, someone can follow the procedure and execute the thing. So procedure should be so good that in my absence or in any expertise and availability, anyone can execute the plan. And we have to make sure this plan is accurate and effective. For that reason, we test. So we will always start with the first called checklist test. It's a sequence actually. It's all about the maturity. So first is basically called as a checklist test. In checklist, what happen is I will invite everyone in the team meeting room. I will distribute the plan to everyone and take the feedback. Example, like we have a HR head, we have a business head, we have a IT head. We'll take the input from them. He said, okay, hey Prab, in this particular plan, this detail is missing. So that is all about checklist. Okay, so checklists are distributed to all the member to review and ensure checklist is basically current. Okay, like call this person, call that person. This is the checklist we have. So one of the person raised the concern, Prab, in this checklist, this function is missing. Please update that. So that is basically called as a checklist review. Second, basically have a structure walkthrough. Structure walkthrough basically where the team member physically implement the plan. Whatever is basically in the plan, it's mentioned like, this person will pick the call, or this, you need to call this person. In the case of disaster, we'll try to check whether number is valid or not. After 4 steps, there is an exit gate. So we will check that. So that is called as structure walkthrough. Then we have a simulation, which is like a drill exercise, the fire drill and all that. According to the plan, people have to leave the facility in 20 minutes. So we raise the alarm, which is called announce or unannounced testing, and see in 20 minutes, can the people leave? Okay, once we sure about the simulations, and so we'll go to the alternate site like hot site. Okay, so example, this is my primary site. Okay, and this is basically my alternate site. So we go to the alternate site. The best site for testing the DR plan or incident management plan is hot site, because everything is there. People, process, technology, everything is there. So we go to that site and see, can we able to restore the data within a particular time frame? So that is called parallel test. And then we come to the primary site and do the parallel and do the full interruption test. So this is a sequence we have. Until unless we don't do checklist, we cannot go for structure walkthrough. Until unless we don't do structure walkthrough, we will not do simulation. Until unless we don't do simulation, we cannot do parallel. Here the question talking about assess its effectiveness and identify enhancement, constraint and deficiencies. Okay, and plan on paper and review each steps. 2-3 keywords are there. So in simulation, what happen is we do fire drill, and fire drill is not on paper. So 3 remove. Parallel, we basically go to alternate side and we do actually on the primary alternate side. So that is not paper. So 3 and 4 remove. It is, the question is looking more than checklist. So I'm going with the close option, which is called as a structure walkthrough. Is it clear? So structure walkthrough is something we can basically plan. Now, next thing is basically called as a, so next question is, so in which type of test recovery team role play a prepared disaster scenario without activating processing at the recovery site? Definitely it is better than checklist and structure walkthrough. So we left with simulation parallel. So this is your primary site and this is basically the alternate site. The best site for testing the DR or incident is basically hot site, but the question is not talking without activating processing at the recovery site. Here the recovery site is basically my hot site. We are not going to that site. We're still doing the activity here, which is more like a role play. So answer is basically simulation test, because in simulation we have a fire drill exercise and all that, and see how easy for them to activate the, or how easy for them to exit the building, what is the role they carry. So they're just doing a simulation scenarios. That's what the answer is basically 3. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. In which type of test recovery site is brought to a state of operational readiness, but operation at the primary site continue normally? Whenever you get such kind of a scenarios, draw the scenario. So it means recovery site. So this is basically my hot site, which is my recovery site, to bot a operational readiness. So answer is basically automatically parallel. You know why? Because checklist is just a checklist review. Structure walkthrough is like a high level. Simulation is a role play, which is actually happening on the primary side where we are activating the people to leave the facility and all that. But the question saying that recovery site brought to a state of operational readiness. So we will see how easy hot site can be reached to the services. That's why we go to that particular site first and do the testing. Okay. So that testing is basically called as a parallel test. Is it clear? Let's move to the next question. Thank you. So question is, which type of test is most rigorous form of testing, but also expensive and potentially disruptive? Checklist is not disruptive. Structure walkthrough kind of, but it not that disruptive because people leaving. So full interruption parallel test is there between both. Parallel test happening in the alternate side without impacting primary, but it's a most rigorous of testing, expensive and potentially disruptive. So there's always a chance of failure in the full interruption. That's why the answer is C for Charlie. C for Charlie. Let's move to the next question. Thank you. It's a very good question. The question saying you are the information security manager for an organization. Fine. Your company want to conduct a test of an incident response process plan. Before conducting any plan test, what is the most frequent important thing to ensure? Option A, risk and impact or disruption. Definitely we need to prepare for worst. During a testing, if something goes down, what is the impact? What is a proactive thing? Option B, fallback arrangement exists to restore operation at any point during a test. That is also required. All tests must be fully documented. Okay, and pre-test tests and post-test report should be there. And testing promote collaboration coordination among the team, and it's a valuable training tool. So this is a best to have. It will become after the testing, that is removed. So we left with A and B. Question saying before conducting. Okay. So fallback arrangement is also very important, no doubt. But taking a call, there we have to go for testing and all. That is the most important thing. So B is basically part of the A. So before doing any kind of a test, we do risk impact analysis with that particular testing activity. So just to make sure, okay, the testing can, the impact can be minimized. So B is part of A because fallback arrangement lead to the parameter lead to minimize. So B is the input and A is the outcome. That's why the answer is A for alpha. Let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. Okay, next question. You are the information security manager for an organization. Your company want to conduct test of the incident response plan. What is the primary focus on testing of the plan? Option A, identifying gaps. Option B, verifying assumptions. Option C, testing timeline. Option D, evaluate the performance of people. See, it is not necessary. We basically only test to evaluate the performance of the people, because that is not a primary purpose of testing the plan. Testing the plan because I want to make sure whatever is there in the plan, it's working effectively. And if not, update. So ultimate goal of updating, or ultimate goal of testing the BCP plan, DR plan, incident response plan is to confirm and validate the plan. Okay, check the effectiveness. That is the ultimate goal. Option A, say identifying gaps, makes sense, because if the plan say this service need to be restored in MTD in 4 hours, we have to make sure it restore in 4 hours. If it's restored in 6 hours, we need to identify the gap between that, so we can able to address the gap. Why taking 6 hours? It's not about primary focus to verifying the assumption. By verifying the assumption, we identifying the gaps only. So 2 is part of a 1. Testing the timeline is the input. Okay, testing the timeline is the input. One of the thing we do the test is a timeliness, but that is not the ultimate goal. So that is why the close option is basically 1, identifying the gap. So let's move to the next coffee shot. Thank you. So question is, after a security breach is reported, only reported, okay, what is the next step that should immediately taken in the incident response process? Question talking about sequence. So we need to answer sequence only. Option A, confirm the incident. That is true. Isolate a system. Also true. Remove the network cable. That is also true. But C is part of a B. Inform stakeholder about the incident. Definitely. But before doing B, C, D, I need to confirm. Is it a true incident or not? Because security breach is reported. We need to confirm that, right? That's why the answer is A. Whenever any incident was reported, past tense, we need to confirm the incident. Is it true or not? Then only we'll take a call whether we need to isolate or withdraw the things and all that. That's why the answer is A for alpha. Okay. Okay. So which of the following is the best way to measure the effectiveness and efficiency of incident management function? Keyword talking about best for a particular situation, which is called effectiveness and efficiency. So option A, metrics, measure and indicators. Option B, plan of actions. Option C, number of days without incident. And option D, risk treatment. See, question talking on measure. So D is the outcome. Number of days without incident is also one of the metrics. Plan of action is an outcome. But without A, B or C will not work effectively. So it's very important. Any kind of a system you're introducing, it should be supported by the metrics, measure and indicators. That's why the answer is A for alpha. Let's move to the next question. Thank you. It's a very good question. Who primarily lead the incident management team in the enterprise? See, information security administrator is not the one, because its role is operation. CIO is accountable for overall information security, accountable for the information system. So definitely he doesn't lead. Application security come to his part. The only person which is left in this option is information security manager. So incident management team directly report to the information security manager. Okay. So this is all from my side. Please wait for my part 2 video of CISM of domain 4, in which I'm covering the DR part, because that is also very, very important from the domain 4 point of view. And do let me know how do you find this video, and do share a feedback in a comment section. And if you're still not subscribed to the channel, click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future videos on a similar topic, and do subscribe to my channel. I'm really putting my lot of efforts to building a content. I'm not forcing you to subscribe. If you think it is worth, then only. Otherwise, I'm happy to share the knowledge without any purpose and all that. Example, not any I don't have any intention. Okay, I want followers and all that. With God grace, I have enough people in my list. But if you think you don't want to miss any videos, then only subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Good day. Bye.